ready for our last concept of today. Woo! So, right now, we are going to be talking about one of my favorite concepts in Python, actually, input statements. Now, these are really fun, and you'll see why in a second, but I'm sure some of you already know what the word input means, and if you don't, that's okay. Input basically means things you take into the function. So over here are print statements from this typecasting video. Those would be output, but input gives a chance to whoever's running the program to have their say in the program. So input statements basically get user input from whoever is running the program. And that makes it really easy to incorporate it into the program as well. So the way we write an input statement is pretty similar to the way we write a print statement or a type function or, any of these. We just write the word input and we add a pair of parentheses. Now, if we run it like this, it is a little confusing to someone who hasn't already worked with input statements, but you see this cursor blinking here? The user can write whatever they want into the compiler, and then when they hit enter, it'll say the process exited, thing that we're familiar to seeing. But notice how when the cursor is still beeping, there's nothing there? That's because it's waiting for us to respond. Now, because we want to make it more clear than this, that we want the user to write something into our code, we can actually use the input statements themselves to prompt the users to give us information. So inside these parentheses for input, we can type any kind of question. But let's start off with, what is your name? And then we can leave a space over here, because with some compilers, they just let the user type directly after the question, but online Python isn't like that. I just kind of do it out of habit now. But yeah, so now we get a question, what is your name? And we can answer. So I can say my name is Prosy, hit enter, and then the code finishes running. Yay! Now we have our input statement. But what if I want to give the user like a personalized greeting, I wonder what I could use to save whatever the user types in here. Well, my friends, we can actually use a variable. Use variables to save input. All we have to do is go to the very start of the line we have our input statement on and write out the name of our keyword. What keyword should I use? I think name of user is probably pretty good. So all I do is I take name of user and I set that equal to input, what is your name? Now, I can print name of user just like I would any other variable. Let's say my name is Prosy. The program prints out Prosy another time. That's really cool. If we wanted to make it a little more polite, we could actually go back to string concatenation and we could add a little message before we tell them their name. So we could say, hello, and then space, because remember, string concatenation doesn't give you a space on its own. Hello plus variable name. Now if we run this, and let's choose a different name this time. Let's go back to our old friend Ben. The program now says, hello Ben. Why, hello computer. That is a brief overview of input statements. Now, some of you may have already noticed, but this input always comes in the form of a string. Let me write that down here too. Input always automatically in the form of a string. So if we were to do something that would require integers, like say we wanted to create another input statement that was like num num computers. Let's say I run a computer shop. I can set that equal to, once again, input, how many computers are in stock. And then I could add a space here or not, but this is just kind of a force of habit thing for me. Now, if we wanted to say someone was buying our computer, we could say someone bought a computer. You now have, and then space, once again, to make it more clear. If we try to do num computers -1, which over here for calculations, if you're doing them in the middle of a print statement, I always just like to add parentheses around, regardless of whether I'm typecasting or not. But num computers -1, and then computers. Now, if we ran this, then, and we had 10 computers in stock, we are going to get a type error, because once again, you can't subtract a string from an integer. So in this case, all we would have to do, because we're trying to do this subtraction inside these parentheses, we couldn't just do this and make it int on the outside, or we'd get another error, because if we wait till the end to try and convert this whole thing, we're still going to get an error over here, because that's where our string minus integer is happening. So what we would actually do is we'd go around num computers, and just num computers, and then we'd do int. So int num computers -1. My name is Ben. I have 10 computers in stock. And, oh, now we actually do have to leave our int on the outside. But if we run this, Ben, 10, but over here, we are now getting a new error because we can only concatenate string and not integer to string. So actually, I made a mistake. Instead of writing string on the outside, we would write int on the outside, we would write string on the outside. And now, my name is Ben, I have 10 computers in stock, and someone bought a computer, and I now have 9. Now, I want to go over this again just to make sure it's clear, but string is for the entire number, but to get the number 9, like we have right here, we are going to do int computers, num computers, -1. If we wanted to simplify the code down here, we could also just go directly to the input statement and do int input, especially if we know we are going to do calculations with it. So like minus, plus, whatever that may be. So my name is Ben. I have 76 computers in stock, and someone bought a computer. I now have 75 computers. And that is input statements in Python.